All right, guys. I'm gonna be showing you this super simple, easy strategy that I use every day. Honestly, it makes money. Um, I use it every day in the market. Uh, it's very simple. Honestly, it's super simple. So I'll show you guys. So let's get into it. So here, I'm on MES, and then I ended up catching a gold trade. I just ended up securing a tight stop loss on MES, and I let that run. I ended up getting stopped out. I think I made like 80 bucks on it. Um, I wasn't really looking at the screen, but this one right here, gold. Like I said, it was a pretty nice scalp. Um, Ended up taking it was a little banger for sure. It was cool. And so like I said, I'll show you guys, and I'll show you guys how I found the trade next. And so yep. All right. And so this is pretty much the way I do it. So normally when I'm trading, I have two screens open. One of them, obviously, I have the trading platform, and then this one on the other screen, I have Trading View. And so normally I mark out these zones as soon as I get into the market. I don't, like I said, I try to avoid trading um, before 7, just because I feel like the market does whatever it wants during that time frame. And so one thing that I've always noticed is that the market always runs back to wherever the candle was at 6:30 in the morning, or sorry, 9:30 East Coast time, so 6:30 West Coast. And so in this case, I marked out that zone with the horizontal line, and then I look for where the trend broke. And so obviously here, I noticed that that green candle at 7:05 was breaking trend, and so that red candle before that was going to be my lowest candle, and so I ended up marking out a zone there. Once I have the zones set, then I know that once it comes into that zone to retest, that's where I jump in, and that's that trade I showed you guys on the previous clip. And so, like I said, it's super easy. Um, just trading with the market. And so I'll show you guys another example next. All right, and so here we go with M2K. I ended up getting a bad entry. I was in another trade when I saw this one, and I ended up jumping in just way too early. Um, and so one thing that I've also noticed is that M2K typically will do with what MES is doing, or MES will do what M2K is doing. And it's crazy because one will do it first, and then the other one will mimic. So I was looking at MES and M2K. And so, like I said, I did marking out this level, it broke trend, and then it came back to retest the zone. And then that's where I ended up jumping in on the pullback. Actually, not that I jumped in again, but I scaled. I added more contracts in, um, and ended up taking this guy for a run. This was a nice run, um, and as you can see, this was February 2nd. This was a pretty solid trade, and like I said, I'll show you guys how I found that level, how I confirmed it, um, and yeah. So like I said, so once it broke past this level here, that it kept tapping out, it just took off, and then I ended up zooming out, trying to see the big picture, trying to figure out where exactly it was heading to, and then just trailed it pretty tight. And so that was the previous level right there. Once it broke past that, then obviously it was trying to go to the next level. And so it just kept a pretty tight trail, because at that point I didn't know where it was going to go. And so this right here is TradingView, same setup. So I have, here, I'll show you guys exactly how I do it. So I'll set the trend line. And like I said, I do this every morning. Set the trend line, broke trend line right there, obviously. And then I look for the previous level where it might come back to retest, and end up highlighting that box. Um, and so uh, M2K and MES will sometimes tap the box or go to the middle of the box. Sorry, not the box, but the cross inside of the box. Gold won't respect that. Gold will take the whole candle. But MES, M2K will typically come to the cross. And then once they come to the cross, then from there, you jump in. Your stop loss should be underneath the cross. Like I said, the stop loss is tight, and it works. And then, like I said, you guys saw the trade, pretty solid trade. And so that was M2K right there. Um, Easy trade for sure. And I actually didn't record this trade, but I wanted to show you guys this trade. Um, so basically, just marked out my opening level. I actually caught this trade right here. It was pretty smooth. Um, Definitely another banger. Like I said, these are easy trades, super easy, low risk. They happen every day. It's just, in the beginning when I first started trading, I felt like I was guessing. and then just running with the trend. And but you there's always a pullback, and so this thing right here works. And so this is where I ended up getting in actually. So let me show you guys. So pretty much just set this level, um, and then the catching this pullback right here. Like I said, normally I mark out the whole previous candle, because gold uh, doesn't really respect like the level. It takes the whole candle, and that's why you want to keep your entry like towards the top of that previous candle, showing you that it was going to go down, or it came back to grab more liquidity. And then basically just I put my take profit at the opening bell candle, which was 6:30 in the morning. And so as you can see, that's where 6:30 had tapped. All right, and so this trade right here is actually from February 6th. So I'm gonna be posting this video today. So this is today's trade, and I'm gonna just go ahead and show you guys the whole day. My trading day, honestly, it was super easy, light. I was done by 7:30 or something like that. Um, and so ended up jumping into this trade right here. I ended up catching, it was a nice banger. I think I took it for like 170, something like that. I ended up closing my position just a little tad bit, late. It was a good timing too, because then it coming back to test a level, whatever. That was cool. I ended up scalping it some more. I jumped in it for some more contracts. I think it was like the first one wasn't even that many contracts. It was like 5, and I think I ended up jumping in again for like 2 or 3, something like that, or whatever it was. Like I said, I ended up jumping in at the middle of the box of the range that I have set out. Like I said, this is a easy strategy. You don't risk a lot. Well, I mean, at least I don't risk a lot, right? There's people out there I know that trade with 10, 20, 30, 40 contracts. It's a little too crazy for me. I think small wins, uh, even smaller losses, is key. Um, and so, as you can see, basically, it was an easy day. Uh, it wouldn't, it was ranging within that range, whatever. Um, so it was smooth day for sure. And the strategy works, and it's super easy. And like I said, I think the best part about it is how you can keep your risk really tight. Obviously the less you risk, the longer you can survive in a game. Um, and then I think part of why I'm recording these videos and uploading them, I think 50% of it is because it keeps me, um, it makes me be stricter on my own rules, right? And at the same time, I think it can help someone out there that was in a position that I was in the beginning when I first started trading, where I felt like I had a technique, but I didn't. I was just jumping in the morning, uh, you know, whatever 5, 10 contracts, and hoping that it was going to go in the way that I thought it was. And I would win big, right? But then you would also lose big. And so in the blink of an eye. And so I thought I had a strategy in the beginning, but I didn't, And so, slowly over time, whatever, I've been, just practicing this and back testing, going back months, and just back testing it, trying to figure out when does the market pull back? When is there a pullback, or where does it pull back to? Instead of chasing a falling knife, or chasing a market that's already pumping, and then boom, it pulls back on you, and then boom, you get stopped out, and then lose whatever. And so like I said, this works pretty smooth. I ended up catching gold right after this. I think I jumped in a little too early. If I would have waited a little bit just to see if there was a level right below this level, then it would have been smooth. I would have printed. You already know that with gold, all you need is 1 or 2 candles, and you're solid. Even though my risk was super tight, it was only $20. So I ended up logging off right after this, because I was already up. I was like, hey, there's no point in me trying to. And it was already close to 8. Or sorry, I think I ended up logging off like at 7:40, so I didn't jump into any more trades after this. You can see that was it. Stop loss was super tight. Ended up losing, I think it was like $32. And as you can see, the level that it actually went to was a level below this, and I should have saw that. Whatever, I just wasn't. It just happened fast. But like I said, I just want to show you guys that it actually did work. Look, so that right there would have been like a $1.50, $1.50. With one small contract. So like I said, this thing works. So yeah, so I'm uploading this video today. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, this is a pretty easy strategy. That's pretty much it.